basically doing any kind of on-rope work, rescue, evac on chairlifts. Gear that we're going to need for this, well, if you pan way up there on our haul cables, like that's pretty far. We aren't climbing towers, and we can't just take a pilot line, or we don't have that kind of reach. So we're going to use a slingshot, so we'll need a slingshot. And then we'll also need our Jumar kit, or on-rope kit. Our kit comes with its own pilot line deployment system, with its weighted sack and plenty of line. It's self-contained. We also have the things that we're going to use to set our anchors, so wire straps. We always have a mobile fall arrest backup. It's the ASA absorber access, not the 20s, because this kit is potentially going to have to deal with a 2-person load. The ascending component, handle ascenders with the cow's tail. For the RAD, the ID component. And then it comes with its own seat harness for chair evac or pickoffs. For the pickoff portion, a pre-rigged swiveling set of 4s, the Jag. And then if our guest is unconscious for whatever reason, whether they're in the chair or hanging, we can cocoon them with just a quick integrated chest strap to prevent them from scorpioning over. So that's like the basic kit for Jumar. Our chairs that we want to access is further down slope, but we want to set our lines well uphill so that our pilot line doesn't get snagged into the duckbill up there, because that can happen pretty easily. So we're going to set them back and then bring them into position once we have them. Right in there. That's good. Right. I want to make sure that the bag and the weight is forward so it doesn't get snagged around the firing. Perfect. Okay. We're done with that. Now we bring our bite in. So, flaked it out so that it coils out nicely, because if we do this on a windy day, this will help mitigate that. We're still going to need 2 tailors just to ensure that it doesn't get twisted as we raise it like that. I don't want to use a non-locking carabiner or any kind of carabiner, because if we pull this up, there could potentially like clip onto the haul cable, and we don't want that. All right, so in a pinch, this is a quick, fast way to do it. We're going to leave our pilot line in here to retrieve later. You don't have to be a mathematician to figure out that you're going to need 4 times the height in terms of rope length. So our ropes are 300 feet. We're doing 2 fixed lines, because even when you're rescuing or doing work or doing training, live evac or training mode, it doesn't matter. If you're going to be working or rescuing, you need a primary and a backup. That's a regulation. So we set double. So 300 feet, cut that in half to 150, cut that in half again, 75 feet max height that we can go. If we need more, we can just grab extra ropes, tie them together here instead of the midpoint bite. So we're going to be blocking against our butterflies, and we're going to tie these butterflies pretty close together. We don't need them to be super far apart. So we'll do one on one side of the bite and one on the other. So wire straps pre-built. Since there's a loop here, the only place to clip a carabiner is right there. And then we open up the pulley on the opposite corresponding end. So the pulley, when it comes back over, it'll be blocked against the butterfly. And the reason why we like these pulleys is because there's such a low there's no space in there. So there's no way that that knot can get through. Swiveling, quick connect, makes it really easy so we don't lose components. We don't have to actually search for gear. It's all integrated. Ready? They block and set themselves. Okay, so you can see like it's pretty far away from the chair. Now we just walk it over so that the anchor sets against the duckbill. So one little trick that you can do to keep your pilot lines from getting coiled up in the wind around things is we vector them off away from our main lines, our primary and backups. And then these pop-up kits have a little beaner in here. We can clove hitch the line to it or tie it off, however which way we want. And then drag these out until they're semi-taut. And now we can even put like a rock in this bag if it's really windy. We can put gear in here, backpacks. It just keeps this anchored and keeps these lines straight and off to the side so that they aren't going to interfere with those lines. So now we have to ask ourselves, what exact task am I doing? So the first one's going to be just chairlift evac. So where, why would we want to do this? Well, in places where maybe it's bad visibility, we can't establish voice comms, we're far away. Our guests can't follow commands, or somebody's just unconscious. Like we can't just do our ground-based T-seat standard evacs. Also, if terrain's an issue for the ability for ground crew to like work and lower from the ground, like rocky, steep terrain, this is a viable option. Usually this is like a one chair only event. If we have to do like multiple chairs in a difficult spot, that's where we'll just do cable riding, because with cable riding we can just progress from chair to chair to chair to do the evac. In this instance, I do want to take the terminal end of that team kit, tie myself a barrel noose, poacher's knot, and then the harness, the seat harness that comes in our Jumar kit, I'm just going to pre-rig it to the end of the line. And this can stay with me or it can stay on the ground. I'm just going to leave it on the ground for now just for clarity. When I ascend up, I'm also going to want to take the ID that we have in the team kit. So we have the ID Evac, which is going to help me lower when I'm up there. In addition to my own ID, the regular IDs and not the Evac version in the Jumar kit, because this is more ergonomic when we actually want to use it as a personal descender. So we need full body harnesses, and we need to be connected on a secondary rope system as our backup with a mobile fall arrest. And the reason we need full body harnesses is because we want that sternal or dorsal, whatever, but we need an arrest point that's above your center of gravity. So in this case, it's always easier to go sternal. And so I just have to figure out which line is going to be my backup. Since I already rigged the harness on the end of this line, I'm going to treat all the working stuff to include my ascending, the lowering of the guest on this line, and this is my backup. And I'm OCD, so when I do this, I really like to clip it in so that I encapsulate the rope and I have the gate facing all the business. We're doing RAD mode, so I need to be on my personal descender. This is what's gonna capture the progress that I make. Get that out of the way. Lock that, we're good to go. Make sure nothing's twisted. I'm gonna actually make sure that I'm in the plumb line, and I'm gonna wait and sit into this, because I don't want to swing if I'm like 10 feet away. Like once I weight it, I'm just gonna go flying. So I gotta make sure that I'm directly underneath, and I'm just gonna take through this. Give myself a quick hop. Sit into it. Okay. With the RAD. Okay. My cow's tail is the adjustable lanyard here. That's also going to pelvic. So anything you're doing working lines, all go to the pelvic ring or central or ventral ring. Backup sternal ring. That's the ASAP on that second line. It's still the RAD if I choose to pull this up, or I can utilize the carabiner that's in here and then clip around here and then bring my brake strand up. And then this gives me a 3-to-1 mechanical advantage assist on the RAD if I don't like to pull vertically up. And then every 2 to 3 throws, I revisit my ASAP. Just make sure that it's not, I just gotta make sure there's no big belly in there. Okay, in real life there'd be skis here I'd have to kind of manage. I can either disconnect them, let them and drop them to the ground, or leave them on. There's a risk, like if they're freaked out, like skis have sharp edges. So maybe it's better if I just take the skis off here and then drop them to the ground crew. Now I say aloha to my guests. Don't panic. We'll have you out soon. Get that away. Keep coming up. And really, if there's space here, I can even just come in and sit next to our guests if I want to. But if it's a full chair, obviously I can't do that. But really, my ideal spot is to be up and have my feet resting against the chair in this kind of seated, cocooned position. So I'm gonna leave my handled ascender on. We're gonna repurpose out the ascender as an anchor. And that's why that's why this ring is here. It makes it idiot-proof having this ring here because it already has the connections you need to operate a device on the anchor. So right here, I'm just gonna clip this into that ring or the carabiner that's on the ring. My guest needs a harness, so I've pre-rigged it on the terminal end. I just have to bring that line up. If my guest is an adult, I can just tell him to put it on. If it's a kid, I'm gonna wanna get into the chair and actually physically put it on him. Okay, so we brought up our integrated harness. Now we say, go ahead and put this thing on. As much coaching as I need to. Cool. While he's putting that on, so I've got the end of the line. I can feed a little bit of slack so it's not impinging on his ability to put the harness on, and I can rig this line into the ID. Just give it a pull test, make sure you got the right end. So he's the load, that locks, I can haul. So I know I've rigged it right. And since this is a training environment, in real life he wouldn't be on a backup line, this will be it, and I lower him. But we're gonna put him on an ASAP. We're gonna piggyback off my backup line just because it's a training environment. So, which is also a requirement. If we're training, anybody who's gonna be in the fall zone needs to be on a primary and a backup, or a belay. And this is where I tell him to start edging his way out. When I do this, I want to make sure that if he's like in the far chair, like I'm dead center. So I want him to scoot dead center so that he doesn't swing out unnecessarily when he comes off. So I'm going to straddle him, get my feet between them, weight it. Okay, he's full suspended. Okay, so at this point, they're probably freaking out. Not a big deal. I reassure them, make sure that I'm in for high friction mode. Going down.
Going down.
And now you can start filming. And then my ground crew will say when he's on the ground, and then I can pay out slack. That's it. So this one is how to pick off somebody who's just hanging, clinging, or a patroller who's in distress. Either way, we're doing, it's a rescuer-based supported pickoff because they're actually hanging on something, which implies that we have to do some kind of a line transfer. So when we do tower rescues, we use the JAG to kind of pick them off their fall arrest lanyard. And so this is our JAG that we're going to use. It's a lot smaller. It's tied off at the top here because basically the anchor is going to be the descender. So if you look at how it's connected, I'm on the descender as well as what's going to be the victim or my subject also on the same descender. It's really important that this is not on me, because then my harness bears the weight of my patient and it twists and torques the harness, and it's very uncomfortable and it's dangerous. So we want to go on the spine of the descenders. And this is a 1 meter jag, and I want this tied off here because I'm going to be pulling up this way as opposed to pulling down. There's just no other good way to do it. So this will be a 5-to-1 mechanical advantage. It should be plenty to pick up even your heaviest people. Also on the end of my jag, I'm gonna have the harness, that pre-rigged harness already ready to go, as well as the chest strap, just in case they're scorpioned over or they're unconscious. I can put this on and suck them in and keep them upright and protect that airway. Yeah, I know he's on a line, but there's no other way to simulate this. He's either, well, he's probably not hanging for dear life because you only have so much time, and usually it's an imminent drop and they let go. And we do the best we can at the bottom. In this case, they could be hung up on their backpack or something. I'm gonna harness them up as I ascend right here. I'll put the seat harness on first. And I wanna be delicate. I don't wanna be jerky with this because, like, if he falls because of me, then that's a problem. Wrap around him, reach over, grab that strap, bring it across. And like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to get this thing to fit exactly the way I want it, but I'm gonna do the best I can. So we're loosely in the spot where we want. Let's do the leg loops. Get these as high as I can. 1. Get this one around, whip it up, grab them. 2. Okay, so that's probably as good as I'm gonna get. Okay, so harness is on. Let's get him on the jag. So these things swivel, so I don't care how I connect it. It doesn't matter, just fast and easy, done. This thing is extended out to its max. I wanna make sure that the teeth are engaged. Should have done that on the ground just to verify. Because once I come up, I'm not gonna be able to set that if I forget to leave that open. So make sure that the teeth are engaged, it's ready for lock and progress capture. Okay, 1 meter, 3 feet, that's how far I have to continue to ascend. Okay, and as I come up, you're gonna see that the jag is gonna start to become taut naturally. Okay, one more good give. There, I can't go any further. I'm gonna lock my ID off, make sure that's set, my Castel's on, everything looks hunky-dory. Okay, now I need to operate the jag by pulling on it. So I can still use the foot loops to kind of get myself in an ideal spot. I need to figure out where that pull cord is. That's what's great about the swivel. I can completely rotate this independently. And now I can pull them up and I'm capturing. And I'm gonna go as far as I can because I wanna guarantee that I transfer him off whatever he's hung up on. Straddle him. Okay, right about there. Okay, I can cut whatever he's hung up on. Maybe, see if I can get a little bit more out of this. Okay, so let's get rid of this. This is for training, all right? In real life, you wouldn't have an ASAP. Yes, don't do that. There's no pre-existing rope here. Let me get rid of this. Okay, I can take that off because he's on me. We're both going to be belayed on the same backup. That's why I have the Sorber access. This can handle a 2-person load. So his primary is on the jag. I need his secondary. And in real life, do I have to do this? No, of course not. I don't have to do this in real life at all. But I'm going to repurpose the cow's tail from my Ascending kit. So again, that's kind of why we have the ring here. Get rid of this, get rid of the ascender. Okay, so if I rotate this over, I have a carabiner that could very well be here. I don't need the foot loop, but this is my adjustable lanyard. Right there, bring this up to me. And this really can go anywhere. It can go to me, it can go to the backup right there on the ASAP. I like going right there. I find that that's pretty good. So, again, if I need to cocoon them on the chest strap, I can do that. It might be difficult, but it's an option. If you can pull it off, great. If not, no big deal. Now there's a 2-person load, and I need extra friction. And some of the newer ones have the built-in friction horns on the IDs. The one I'm using in this kit doesn't, but even if it did, I probably wouldn't use it. Okay, I'm gonna use another carabiner that's a non-locking. It's on the side of my harness, like this, my brake strand. I'm just gonna clip that right there. That's gonna give me extra friction that I need to go down. Okay, so we did the line transfer. He's on 2 points of contact into the system. I'm on 2 points of the contact into the system. And now we can completely get out of here. Watch these red lines. Let's get those things out of the way so we can see a little bit better. Hey, Nat, grab those red lines. There you go. And he's being rescued. Down we go.